Have you ever questioned the limits of your intelligence? It's an intriguing proposition, isn't it? We often find ourselves pondering about the expanse of our intellect, the depth of our wisdom, and the boundaries of our cognitive capabilities. But have you ever considered how much your own perception of your intelligence plays a part in defining these limits? Imagine your mind as a vast and unending landscape. Each thought, each belief, each perception you hold creates the topography of this landscape. Now what if I told you that the perception you hold about your own intelligence is like a mighty river carving its way through this landscape? A river that has the power to shape and mold the terrain in ways that can either limit or enhance your potential. If you perceive yourself as limited, if you believe that your intelligence has a ceiling, you're setting up walls in your mind's landscape. These walls limit your exploration, they confine your thoughts, and they constrain your potential. This is the power of a limiting belief. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You believe you're limited, so you act in a way that confirms this belief. You stop pushing the boundaries, you stop exploring, and you stop growing. On the other hand, if you perceive yourself as capable, as someone with the potential to learn, to grow, to expand your intelligence, you're building bridges in your mind's landscape. These bridges connect ideas, they foster creativity, and they unlock potential. This is the power of a positive belief. It's like a seed of potential that, when nurtured, can grow into a mighty tree of wisdom and knowledge. Remember, your perception of your intelligence isn't a fixed entity. It's a fluid concept that can change, evolve, and grow with time and experience. So challenge the boundaries, question the limits, and dare to perceive yourself as capable, as intelligent, as a constant learner. Your perception of your intelligence can either be your greatest barrier or your greatest asset. So, which one will it be for you? Meet Thomas, a man who believed he was always destined to mediocrity. Thomas's story begins in the classrooms of a small-town school, where he often found himself struggling to keep up with his peers. The ABCs and 123s that came so naturally to others seemed like an insurmountable hurdle to young Thomas. The more he tried, the harder it seemed to grasp. As he grew older, the challenges only seemed to mount. Algebra, history, science, each subject was a new battlefield, and each one left him feeling defeated. After graduating high school, Thomas entered the workforce. He found a job that paid the bills, but it didn't necessarily fulfill him. His days were spent in front of a computer screen, typing away at reports that he felt anyone could do. He often looked around at his colleagues, wondering how they could find joy and satisfaction in such mundane work. He felt unintelligent, incapable, and stuck in a rut of mediocrity. Then came a day that would change Thomas's life forever. It was a regular Tuesday at the office when a problem arose. A major issue with the company's server had everyone in a panic. The IT team was stumped, the managers were frantic, and it seemed like no one had any idea how to fix it. Thomas, who had always been good with computers, decided to take a look. He started by examining the server logs, finding patterns that others had missed. He then dove into the system's code, navigating the complex maze of numbers and letters with a surprising ease. Hours passed, but Thomas was undeterred. He was so engrossed in the task at hand that he barely noticed the day turn into night. And then, just as the first rays of the morning sun peeked through the office windows, he found it. A small, seemingly insignificant glitch in the code that had caused the entire server to crash. With a few keystrokes, Thomas had the server up and running again. The office erupted in cheers. His colleagues, who had once seen him as just another cog in the machine, now looked at him with admiration and respect. But more importantly, Thomas looked at himself differently. He had solved a problem that no one else could. He had shown intelligence and capability that he never thought he had. The incident served as a turning point for Thomas. It made him realize that he was not unintelligent or incapable, he was simply different. His intelligence was not in academic subjects, but in problem-solving and understanding complex systems. He was not mediocre. He was extraordinary in his own unique way. In the face of adversity, Thomas discovered a hidden intelligence he never knew he possessed. And that discovery changed his life forever. As Thomas began to acknowledge his intelligence, his life started to change. It was as though a switch had been flipped. Suddenly the world was a canvas and Thomas held the brush. The landscapes of his life, once gray and monotonous, now burst with vibrant hues of possibility. At work, Thomas's newfound self-belief became a beacon of light that illuminated his path. He began to tackle challenges head-on, approaching each obstacle with a fresh perspective. His solutions were innovative, his ideas revolutionary. His colleagues took notice. The once overlooked Thomas now commanded respect, his insights sought after, his contributions valued. His success was no accident, it was the product of a mind that finally understood its worth. In his personal life, a similar transformation took place. Thomas began to explore passions he had long suppressed, believing they were beyond his capabilities. He sat down at the piano, fingers dancing across the keys, creating melodies that echoed the newfound harmony within him. He picked up a paintbrush, his strokes revealing a world only he could envision. He read voraciously, his mind a sponge, absorbing knowledge. This wasn't about becoming someone new, it was about shedding the layers of self-doubt that had kept his true self hidden. As Thomas's perception of himself shifted, so did his interactions with the world. The fear of failure, the fear of not being good enough, began to dissolve. In its place grew a confidence, solid and unshakable. His relationships improved, he became more assertive, expressing his thoughts and feelings openly. People responded positively to this change. They were drawn to his authenticity, his boldness, his kindness. His relationships deepened, becoming more meaningful and fulfilling. The transformation was profound, yet it was born from a simple realization, a realization that he was and always had been intelligent. It wasn't about acquiring new skills or knowledge, it was about acknowledging what was already there, about recognizing his intelligence and harnessing it. Thomas had always been intelligent, he just needed to believe it. And in believing it, he transformed not just his perception of himself but his entire life. He painted his world with the vibrant hues of self-belief, creating a masterpiece that was uniquely his. Now, you might be wondering, how can I tap into my hidden intelligence like Thomas? Well, let me tell you, it's not as elusive as it might seem. It all starts with recognizing and challenging those limiting beliefs that might be holding you back. You see, we all have these little nagging voices in our heads telling us what we can or can't do. They're often the echoes of past experiences, failures, or criticisms. But here's the thing. They're not the truth. They're just stories we've been telling ourselves. And just like any story, they can be rewritten. Start by identifying these limiting beliefs. They might sound like, I'm not smart enough, I can't do this, or I've tried before and failed. Once you've identified them, challenge them. Ask yourself, is this really true? More often than not, you'll find that it's not. Next, embrace a growth mindset. This is the belief that your abilities are not set in stone, but can be developed through dedication and hard work. It's about seeing challenges as opportunities to learn and grow, rather than obstacles to be avoided. Don't be afraid of failure. That's right. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the process. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. Every mistake a chance to learn something new. Start small, set achievable goals, and celebrate your victories, no matter how small they may seem. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And finally, keep pushing your boundaries. The only way to discover the extent of your capabilities is by constantly challenging yourself. Try something new, take on a challenging task, step out of your comfort zone. Remember, your intelligence is not fixed. It's a muscle that can be trained and developed. So what are you waiting for? It's time to unleash your potential and show the world just how smart you really are. Let's recap what we've learned today. We've delved into the profound power of perception, understanding that how we see ourselves truly shapes our reality. We've journeyed through the story of Thomas, an everyday individual who transformed his life by altering his self-perception. Thomas was not born with extraordinary intelligence or talents. However, he managed to break the chains of self-doubt by acknowledging his potential. He understood that intelligence isn't static, it's like a muscle, capable of growth and expansion. We then explored the steps to unleashing potential. It begins with believing in oneself, followed by setting clear goals, persevering through challenges, and constantly learning. Every step, every stumble, every triumph is a part of the journey towards our fullest potential. Remember, potential is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about becoming better than we were yesterday. You are smarter than you think. It's time to believe it and unleash your true intelligence.